Hey guys, I'm checking out 3 plugins for vocal mixing by Antares Auto-Tune. None of them is going to be the famous Autotune. It's going to be the vocal EQ, it's going to be the vocal compressor, and the recently released vocal reverb. So let's get started. Let's have a quick listen to my track here, to my demo track, without anything, and then we'll start with the EQ, compressor, and the reverb.
I know you're broken. I know you're giving up.
Now, before we dive into the details, I'll mention that I'm an official reseller of Autotune and Antares plugins, so you can find them in my shop, myaudio.studio. I'm going to put the links in the description of this video, and if you want to support this channel, you can buy those plugins and many others in my shop. So the Autotune vocal EQ is really great for vocals, but probably you can use it for many other applications. It is a sort of a dynamic EQ with some added features. So it means that we also have compressor features built in, and you can see that right on the bottom strip right here. So we have on the right side, we have the threshold, we have the range. This can be a compressor or even expander. We have the attack and the release. And there's also an internal or external side chaining. Now, I'm not going to explain everything, and this is not a mixing tutorial. I just want to give you a quick overview so you'll know what's included here. But there's an extra feature that makes this plugin unique, and it is the frequency tracking right here. So I'm going to play again, and let's see what that really means.
I know you're broken. I know you're giving up.
So we're basically tracking the fundamental frequency of our vocal, and this really helps us to sort of focus and lock in to that. So whatever we do, so for example, let's have that right here. I'm gonna remove the tracking, and let's say I'm doing something like this, and I'm gonna play again.
I know you're giving up. And yeah, I know you're thinking that your time won't come.
So we're tracking that frequency. We are locked onto it, so it's not static. Sometimes when we're using EQ, just regular EQ, whatever moves we do, they are static. They're just there on the horizontal line. We might have dynamic EQs out there, which means that we're going up and down, but left and right, not so much. So let's go and see what that means in terms of compression, for example. So I can do anything like that. So I'm going to set the threshold, and I'm going to play this so we'll get things done while we're listening, and then I'm going to compress this a little bit. So let's have a listen.
You're crying in the pieces, laying broken on the floor, but you put them back together every time before.
So you can see the potential here. We can treat specific harmonies of the vocal track and get them expanded or compressed. We can do a lot of things that make sense in this context of vocal tracks. And so this is the vocal EQ. Of course, there's a lot more to this, and I'm happy to answer questions. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about this EQ? And let's move on to the vocal compressor. Next, we have the Autotune vocal compressor. And as you can see, we actually have 2 compressors, and they are chained. But if you only want one, go to the top left right here and select the setup for one. and that's fine. Whatever works for your mix. So with the two, it is very well-known technique when you have one compressor doing some of the work, and that goes into the second compressor completing the work, and you can have different types, different styles, different settings for each. And so if that confuses you, you can get started with the assistant. So that's exactly what we're going to do. And before that, I'm going to just mention that we have 4 different types of compressors for each. We have fat compressor, probably a well-known emulation. Let me know in the comments if you know which one it is. Then we have Opto A, which is a tube compressor. Then we have Opto B, which is a well-known opto compressor, again, something you might know. And finally, we have the modern, which is a clean and transparent kind of a compressor, more modern. So let's get started with the assistant. And what we need to do in order to get things going here is select the input type, select the compression type right here, and the style. So we have clean, warm, full, or gritty. So I'm going with the warm and full for this one. And I'm going to hit learn, and let's see how that works.
I know you're broken. I know you're giving up.
Okay, so the assistant gave us some suggestions for compressor 1 and compressor 2, and let's apply those and see what's next. So I'm applying this, and you can see that everything that we've selected is right here. If we want to change anything, we can do that, of course. Let's have a quick go. Let's play and have a listen.
I know you're broken. I know you're giving up. And yeah, I know you're thinking that your time won't come.
Cool. So that was the Autotune vocal compressor. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Moving on to the reverb. So this plugin was just released, and I'm super excited about this. It's really a great one. And again, you can see that we have some automation, some assistance here. We have the input type learn, which you can find in many of the Autotune plugins, but we also have the assistant right here. But other than that, we have delay built in. We have the reverb styles. We have plate, room, hall. We have advanced mode right here. And that will give us some more shimmer and added elements, like with the pitch right here. We have post-verb options with the compressor gate, and there's some other very cool features here, like the auto EQ that is supposed to make everything sound much better when you're taking into account the incoming signal and adjusting it in a way that it makes sense musically with the reverb. And now I'm using this plugin as an insert. Usually I would do that on a bus, so that's why we also have here the mix knob. We have width, and well, there are other features, but we are going to get started again with the assistant, with the input type and the assistant. So let's do that. I'm going to start learn, and let's see how that works.
I know you're broken. I know you're giving up. And
cool. So it detected a soprano input type. I'm good. And now let's have the assistant work for us. So it's waiting for the incoming signal. Let's play.
I know you're broken. I know you're giving up. And yeah, I know you're thinking.
So the assistant gave us some choices here. We have the reverb assist. The style is vintage plate. We have other choices like tight room, concert hall, and cosmic, if we like. but we're gonna stick with the vintage plate for this vocal. We have this size, which right now it's right in the middle between small and large. So I'm going to maybe get this a bit larger. And normally I would change this as the vocal play, not just, but here for the demonstration, that's good enough for us. And then the tone is gonna be natural. I'm gonna go with the next stage. And here we have some creative templates, gritty or 80s. I'm gonna go with gritty. And then I can also add some shimmering on top of that. And that's gonna be either octave down or octave up. I'm gonna go with the octave up and hit next. We have some recommendation here, like for the plate, the size, we have the EQ curve right here. Everything else is set up. So I'm gonna apply and let's have a listen, and I'm gonna mix it in.
That your time won't come. I know you're broken. I know you're giving up. And yeah, I know you're thinking that your time won't come. You're crying in the pieces, laying broken on the floor, but you put them back together every time before. I know it's like your world is just caved in, and every single.
And so these are the 3 plugins for vocal mixing by Antares Auto-Tune. We have the EQ, we have the compressor, we have the reverb, and there are many others by Antares. All of them are in my shop, myaudio.studio. And I'll see you guys very soon in the next videos. Thanks and bye-bye.
Pray it just wasted, but baby, there is beauty in the making. So no, don't go thinking